let's get into whatever topics you have.
I'm scared to talk about this one. But it's not going to be crazy or controversial. It's literally just going to be my feelings on things. But obviously, we're going to start off with Roe versus Wade. Funny enough, I took AP history like 2 years in high school. And literally, I took AP history, which was A push. It was AP US history. And then I took GOPO, which was AP government and politics. And I had like literally a classmate who was related to Biden. So we went to the White House and all that. So, I was a little smarty. And so I hadn't been to Roe versus Wade. So many people are just finding out about this. But we literally had to do like Supreme Court cases. Like we literally had SCOTUS cases that we had to do all the time. Oh my God, it just gives me triggering vibes. But I'm very aware of Roe versus Wade, and I've been aware for the last 10 years. And so as we all know, that got overturned by the Supreme Court. And people clearly weren't happy. A lot of women weren't happy, and a lot of people were happy. It was like very, what's funny? I feel like things are more split than we think, or things could be more weighed higher on the other side, more than we think. Because I think social media is so controlled, it seems like, by one side, and maybe not even that, because I think it's just what we're seeing because of what we engage with, right? But do you feel like social media is more liberal, like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok? Like, do you think it's more people with left views that overpower these websites?
No, I just feel like the people that have the typical opposing view don't post those things necessarily because it's become and not that they're an oppressed group of thought, but it's become a thing where if you do have an opposing opinion to typical liberal views, then people will go after your employer, and you'll get
doxxed.
You'll get laughed off the internet, attacked off the internet, that kind of thing. So I think that people that have those kind of views just don't necessarily post, or they'll be like kind of I don't want to use the word closeted, but for lack of a better term, closeted conservatives, and also they stay in the Yahoo comments for sure.
Yeah, that's true. Yahoo comments are
the craziest comment section. I wonder if they still exist. Does Yahoo?
Know what's funny? Like, I think the whole Yahoo thing, I feel like we talked about this before, but knowing about those comments is literally because of work, right? Like when we used to work at Montclair, we'd be so bored at work, you just start reading Yahoo articles.
Yeah, and the comment section was always crazy. Wait, let me see.
This one only has 5, surprisingly.
Oh, so it does still exist. I don't know why I thought I heard recently that they got rid of the Yahoo comment section. I was like, I'm not surprised. But now there's the disclaimer here.
They used to always be bad. Like, I used to actually log into my Yahoo to fight people in the comments sometimes because it used to literally be bad, especially with stuff with black people. So much racism. But yeah, Yahoo used to be crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely agree that I feel like because nowadays, like, you see, like, Meg Thee Stallion, Olivia Rodrigo, like they both have said something like recently on their, during their concert about it. Kendrick Lamar, so it's like you see it's like socially acceptable to say those things like and out loud, like when you're on one side of it all. Like it's just crazy because like you said, I feel a lot of people actually keep how they feel inside because they're scared of repercussions because it seems like the powers that be are. They like to stay. It's weird. Like it's almost like they like to stay on a good side of things, and the good side it just so happens to be like the quote unquote good side just so happens to be like the left side or left thought. Like these companies, like you said, like earlier, they're asking companies if they're going to pay for the abortions, and it's controversial because it's like you're asking these CEOs that, like, with the possibility of them saying no, and knowing that the outrage that's going to come with it or the stock price change, like it's like very weird how like things are seen like in the public they're or like like more so one-sided when it comes to like companies and like things like that.
Yeah.
And celebrities could have any celebrity come up and say something and agree with the Roe versus Wade.
No, and nobody would do that because
they wouldn't, because they're scared.
I think that I almost feel like entertainment in general is more for a liberal audience than it is for a conservative audience anyway. I feel like conservative people don't really find entertainment and the things that liberals find entertaining. Like you wouldn't find a conservative listen to certain music artists, and this is me generalizing, but what my perception is, I don't think that conservatives really play in the general population with like what's popular in terms of comedy or music or
Yeah.
clothing. Even I think they play in like a different racket. So
It's weird though, 'cause it depends because like another side of this Roe versus Wade thing, I've actually a lot of people are speaking out about it, and I told you the other day like a lot of like really pro black people were actually against. I mean, we're actually happy that this happened because it gets into a deep conversation about like the Margaret, whatever her name was, was her name Margaret Sanger or something like that, the one who like was that her
created
name?
it, yeah.
Yeah, who created Planned Parenthood and like purposely were trying to like reduce the black population. So a lot of black people, like really pro black people, were happy for this because they feel like the black population now could grow from no longer being a minority. So it's weird because it's like I feel like we think like what a typical conservative looks like when a lot of them are literally walking among us every day and you wouldn't even know. They just don't say how they feel, or they're lying almost and supporting one side just to keep their career safe and stuff.
Yeah, I also think that not every I'll speak as a member of the black community. I think, I could speak on us. I also think that not every black person is liberal either. I think that there's a lot of conservatism in black thought
Yeah,
as well, right?
because we have a lot of old fashioned thoughts in general.
Right. Like the old fashioned,
Bible talk.
down
Yeah,
south is mostly where that comes from. Their way of thinking is very along those lines, like the way you dress and all those kind of things, the lyrics, and they hate rap music. That sort of conservatism is also, and hopefully conservatism is the
Yeah.
word, right?
because it's basically like you're just conservative, like you're.
Yeah, I'm just making
Oh.
sure that's the right way
No,
to
that's
say
the right
it.
word, yeah.
Okay. I think that school of thought still exists, and I think that they still would vote, based on those sort of things. So I don't think that what we generally think, how we generally see, because people with power on the conservative side look a certain way typically,
Yeah.
but it
Missing
does
teeth.
exist on the other side as well. Like when you're looking at some of these during elections and things like that, in some of these counties, there's black people and they're not voting for,
Yeah.
typically liberal people. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that it's it's an interesting debate. I think
What?
this whole thing it's
Oh,
like
just-
very it's
yeah.
just very very interesting.
I just honestly, it's so much to unpack though, because you
That's the
have
thing.
one side of people who are so pro like they just bring God into it, and the whole thing is like like this would be a separation of church and state, so it's kind of
Which
weird.
there should be.
There should be, because like why are you forcing a whole country to be Christians, like or have Christian or follow Christian thoughts? Like why are we praying under God? Like,
Now
in
most
the
countries are like
classroom?
that though. That's the only thing, and not that that makes it okay, but that is pretty common. In
But
other
America
places.
has made it a thing that we weren't supposed to be that. So it's like don't
Right.
say that, and then you turning into you're literally
It's on the
using
money.
a Bible. Yeah, it's in a classroom.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
that's a whole other conversation.
we're not supposed to be like I think if for a country that promotes every religion be able to come here, even if you're not religious, like that this is the land of just be who you want to be. But now you're telling me that we're following the Bible that was written by people. I don't know. It's just kind of weird.
I guess I'll give my actual opinion. Neither one of us gave an actual.
No, I'll give mine too, but you go
Thought
first.
and opinion. I think that, and hopefully I don't get killed off the internet.
You shouldn't, because
and I
say
shouldn't.
how you feel. It's just
Yeah, I shouldn't
feel.
based on what I'm about to say. Me personally, I think that people should not be using abortions as a form of contraception when there's so many other forms of contraception. Now, with that said, I still think that people should be able to at least have the opportunity to make that choice in the event that, they did slip up. While I would side on the side of not doing it. So me personally, my personal feelings, if I ever got in a situation like that, made a mistake, impregnated somebody I didn't want to impregnate, I would stick through that.
Yep.
You made the
You know,
decision.
every time you laying down, that's the possibility.
Right. So
Every
I
single time.
made the decision. I'm not going to look a woman in her face and tell her to terminate the pregnancy, whether she wants it or not. If she decides to not do that, that's fine by me. If she decides to go through with it, whatever. I made that decision, I knew in my mind, like, sex is not that crazy. I'm not drunk. I'm actively knowing what I'm
Yeah.
doing. So I know the repercussions. So for me personally, my own personal feelings, I would never use it. But it's also not my place to say. And I also don't, I think people should have the ability to a certain extent, because it's like, what if you like, it's just so complicated, but, and that's why I don't want to say anything super definitive. I think people should have the choice, while I personally wouldn't engage in it. And it's also none of my business to speak on what women should be doing or shouldn't be doing. That's just my personal feeling. Also, in general, if you look statistically with pregnancies that are aborted, and, always take data with a grain of salt, most of them are not from things like rape.
They said that what's going around on social media that is 1% abortions come from rape. I don't know how true that is.
Right.
Because that seems way too low.
I don't know, though.
But that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, how many rapes, the guy is like, not to sound vulgar, but coming in the girl. I don't know if that's really common. Or lots of times from, rapes, unfortunately, the woman usually gets, not usually, but gets killed sometimes. But I just feel like lots of times with rapes, they're quick. I don't think rapes are long enough where a guy is doing, but maybe they are.
And a guy also doesn't need to ejaculate in a woman for her to get pregnant. But
that's true. And I'm not trying to dismiss that. I'm just saying I'm questioning that 1% number.
Yeah, I prefer people to not use it as a form of contraception. Well, actually, I don't care what people do. That's the biggest thing. I don't care what anybody does. But I think, just for health purposes and just making general good decisions, like, I would just prefer people to make, good decisions.
Yeah.
Don't make those type of mistakes. There's a bunch of contraceptions available for all different types of needs, mostly for women, but, men as well. And then there's abstinence. There's a bunch of different things, but no matter what, I think people should have their own choice. I don't agree with the decision personally, especially when people, I hate when, I kind of hate almost democracy in a way, or at least the way we sort of manage things in the U.S., where somebody implements something and then it gets overturned. Like, Obamacare was implemented, and then
Trump it's stupid because then it could come back. Like, it's just a whole cycle. They literally could come back. Like, the next, if the Supreme Court in the next maybe 50 years, if it's swapped out, might overturn it again. Like, it's just like,
I think it's pointless, and then
it's so stupid.
Also, it wasn't proposed, but I forgot the gentleman's name. I'm not sure if it's a senator, and I should have done my background check. So sorry for anybody political watching this, because I know you guys are going to kill us. But because of this change, it also got brought up, the same-sex marriage thing getting reversed.
Yeah.
So it's like,
was that a conversation that they really were having, that they want to overturn?
It was just one person.
Oh, okay.
And I forget who.
Is it that Clarence guy, the black guy?
Yeah. That's what it was. Thank you for reminding me.
And the funny thing is, too, they're making him like the face of this whole thing now, too. Like, I'm like, excuse me. That was me burping. I was like, let's not make that a thing, right? Like,
well, he was the only one that.
Well, I said that, yeah, but maybe that's why. Like, maybe he got dragged more because of that. But like, I feel like they was using him as the face of this abortion thing too. Because then it's almost like you kind of had the question, like, okay, is this anti-blackness now? And then somebody, I think somebody, like a white liberal, you saw that, called him the N-word, the hard ER.
No.
Yeah. And they both like, whoa, wait, I got to find the tweet for you. But you can finish your point while I'm finding the tweet.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm explicitly clear, because this is a very sensitive conversation. I think, I don't know what the... It would be great on this podcast if we had like guests with opposing views. It would make it so holistic, and we can have actual, like full in-depth conversation, because it's hard to argue from both sides when you're not on both sides. But
that's what it was.
Let me see. Looks like it's a 14-year-old kid.
Nah.
It's like between, I know, but she looked mad.
Apparently, and like she literally got like canceled off the internet. Like,
that's just funny. It's not funny, but that's
that
funny.
Was crazy.
Sometimes you ever see something so racist, you just laugh at it.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. But yeah, I think it's disappointing. You see how quickly the states were to implement the bans. It was like within the hour.
Yeah, I think they have like trigger. Some of them had trigger laws, where it's like instantly, yeah. And yeah, I don't know. I'll say my point next, but you can finish.
Yeah, last thing, because again, I just want to, because this is such a sensitive topic, I just want to make sure I'm explaining myself as clear as possible. There's so many different, factors. The only thing that I would say is it does, and I hate to say this, but it does make it less of a crutch, in terms of, I think people know that option exists. So
Yeah.
even when you get past like I'm not using contraception, then it's like, you can always terminate it, which you
Yeah.
can do. But
Like
then
that's
again,
definitely a good thing in the back of their mind. Like, okay, God forbid I get pregnant, I'll just get an abortion. Like the fact that
ye-
that's such like a,
yeah, and it's not so
oh, I'll
much that
just
I about the killing a unborn baby kind of thing, because that's not even actually where my head is at with it. It's more so just the general responsibility. It's almost like,
like that's your body at the end of the day.
yeah,
Like
that's the
even
thing.
if you like, all right, this is not a human, this is just a little fetus, like which is where my head is at, because like I don't think a fetus is a human. But even if you want to put that thought process aside, that's your body. Like that's so invasive to put yourself through that.
Yeah, and I think that because it's available, it does make it a little bit of a crutch. I just want people to make
Even girls with the
responsible
Plan
decisions.
Bs, for
Yeah,
me, it feels like that's like your body. Like you just popping a pill, like that's mad irresponsible.
yeah,
Like I've taken a Plan B once in my whole life, and I didn't even need to take it. Like we can admit that was kind of dumb.
that was
I don't know why
stupid.
we still did it. Like, and yeah, okay, I take birth control, so maybe I sound like a hypocrite, but at least it's a prescription medication that I'm taking. Like, it was my decision. It's like I made a decision to prevent pregnancy. But I'm not like, oh, I'm just gonna take a Plan B. I'm like just doing that every time. Like, no, just either just give her birth control or just be smart. Like, I don't know. And like those things are good to have. Like that's the thing. I'm not saying that it's not good, but you shouldn't be taking a Plan B every single time. Like that's like mad weird to me. Like it's your body. Like have some care for your body. That's more so my issue.
Yeah, and it's not my issue because I genuinely don't care.
Yeah, and it is hard because you're a guy, so it is hard sometimes to speak on these things.
It's just like I said, like my stance is I would never resort to. The world doesn't revolve around me, so I know that's a thing. But just me personally, I wouldn't resort to it. Wouldn't resort to abortion, so it doesn't relate to me, and I don't care in that sense. But I don't want people, as a humanitarian issue, I don't want people to be declined their ability to,
Make
get an
it,
abortion, whether it was
yeah,
a rape or not. And while I don't agree with abortion necessarily, in the sense that I don't personally, it's not my personal views. I think that it should be available for people. They should
yeah,
be able to have that decision.
yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully that's not. Hopefully I articulated myself beautifully,
Okay, I
because
literally,
I don't want to get killed saying that it's not.
yeah,
Basically, it's not for me. But do you is kind of my opinion, and hopefully, it gets overturned again.
yeah, yeah. Cause that's like
Vote responsibly, people.
my thing too. Like from being a woman from my perspective. Like I literally felt like I said this on Twitter. So I feel like the same way. I feel like me personally, if I ever was in a situation where I got pregnant and I wasn't ready to have a kid, I'm not having an abortion. I would just have the kid. Like I wouldn't even put up for adoption. Like we're at this point in life, we're financially stable. We're comfortable. So it would suck because I just don't feel like paying for a kid right now. Like I'm just selfish, but I would just have the kid. Like even though that's not the time, even though I don't feel like I'm ready, if it were to happen, I would have it just because I'm against abortion, just because I'm very like paranoid about my body and stuff like that, like surgeries, anything like that. Like anything that's like that I could avoid, I'll avoid it. So yeah, and like morally, I just don't agree with it. So yeah, that's like basically my opinion too. Like personally, I would never get an abortion. Personally, I wouldn't put myself through that, and I would just have the kid. But I'm all about, because I'm like the most like probably not, I want to say I'm the most selfish person, but I could say sometimes I could be kind of selfish. I'm all for it's not about my body, it's not affecting me, it's not my situation. Let people do what they want at the end of the day. If you guys want to go out here, get abortions, doing all this, all that, it's not bothering me. That's my whole thing. You do you. I'm personally not doing it, but I'm also let everybody do what they want. Like I don't care. So that's the issue I have. It's like this shouldn't even be a law. Like why is this a law? Like, let's really think about it. Like why is this even a law? Like And I get the whole, because it kind of borders on the line that they saying of murder.
A little bit.
But that's what I think I could agree with, time restrictions on when somebody should have an abortion. But then there's a whole debate about when life begins and what's considered murder. So it just gets really iffy.
I think if never mind, I'm not gonna
No,
put. No, I'm not gonna say it because I'm not gonna put it on video. Are you done with your point?
Yeah, pretty much like, yeah, that's how I feel. Like I wouldn't do it personally, but I'm all for everybody having their own choice. And I feel like this shouldn't even be a Supreme Court thing. Like this should never even been a law. I feel like if clinics are allowing it, let them allow it. Like it should be up to clinic by clinic basis on if they want to perform an abortion on somebody and what they consider. Because like, that's the thing. These people are like in the Supreme Court. They're not scientists. They're not doctors. So I feel like it should be up to a doctor's expertise and what they consider to be a fetus and a human. And just let people get their abortions that do what you want. But
now, real quick, because we always do this, and I swear I'm going to cut you off if you're still talking. Real quick, 2 minutes. Because I was going to bring it up, but I forgot my point as always. I need to start writing these things down. But the thing about how this impacts black people specifically and people saying that Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, it was like made to kill us.
Right. And I don't know how true that is. If it is true, doesn't matter to my point.
I think it's documented.
Okay.
I had to double check that. I will admit that I haven't done my research, but from what I see and the people that discuss it, that it's pretty documented that was her intent.
Okay. Yeah. Still doesn't impact my point.
Yeah.
But that is there. I don't know personally whether aborting black children, black babies, black fetuses.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's more or less detrimental than having the kids themselves. Now, my point, and the reason why I say that is because we can say that most people get abortions usually because of a financial issue, I would say. I could be wrong about that, but usually, well, it could be they just don't want the kid.
Yeah, I think it's like a combination. I feel like it's like financially. I think it's just not wanting the kid, being too young.
I feel like more often now we see that the kid, they just have the kid and figure it out later.
Yeah.
The single mom sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know which is more detrimental. Let's assume it's an economic issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't have the money. And especially during the time that whatever her name is, and I'm saying that facetiously, created Planned Parenthood.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, black economic power wasn't what it is today.
Mm-mm.
So, if anything, in my opinion, them having the baby would have been more detrimental to the black community than anything.
Yeah, because of finances.
Now, if the argument was that it was created to just have less black population,
I think that's what it is.
That part I could understand.
It was to keep us like a minority because there's like this fear. Like that guy who did the Buffalo shooting, like a lot of white people do have this fear of being replaced and outnumbered. And I think like that was like the whole point. They want to keep us a minority, so to keep our numbers low, kill off the babies.
I'm curious which is more detrimental at this point.
I know because that's what I'm thinking. That's why some people don't agree with that because they're like, wouldn't it be worse for people to have the babies?
Right, because let's say somebody's in a hard financial time, they have a baby, now they're in worse financial times, and the baby grows up to be a violent person.
But I guess for like white people, it was still just the fact that they still exist though, and that they could eventually overturn things and overturn government and like situations that are in place. So I think their fear still exists. Even if we won't have economic power, we will have power in numbers.
Gotcha.
So I think that still was a fear.
Okay. Well, that was quick. Exactly where I wanted it to be. Bottom line, first and foremost, men shouldn't be speaking on what women should be doing.
That's the first thing, is men shouldn't.
Second of all, this shouldn't have even become a thing. It shouldn't have even been a court ruling.
Yeah, like imagine they really in there talking about a woman's body.
especially when
There's like 3 women in there.
there's tons of other shit that's legal that shouldn't be. If we want to really get into into things, like you're allowed to literally kill yourself with alcohol and tobacco. And I mean, they did just ban Juul as a company, which is hilarious. I saw some ladies.
Even just the gun problems, like why is that not more of a focus?
Yeah, there's so many other issues, and of course, we always end up doing this loop of a million different things in a circle. We could talk about military spending and all the Ukraine issue. We could talk about so many different things and issues, but bottom line, it shouldn't be up to men to decide. I think that women should, and I've mentioned this before, and I'm not going to blame women. This is not a blame the victim sort of situation, but women should, similar to them, there being complaints from women about WNBA players not getting paid more, but all of the WNBA's audience is men.
Yeah.
I think that women should try to go more for political.
Like seats.
Yeah, more political seats, and I know it's tough for women because if there's any white male dominated anything, it's politics. And I know that the second you're a woman, you're immediately invalidated in politics. But I think women should be more in those places, and when they're in those places, not get bullied to have, views that white men typically have.
Yeah.
And I think that this is stupid. People should be able to do whatever they want, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, I get the whole murder thing.
I get it as well.
I feel like you have to, like, we have to have laws.
There has to be a line
murder.
somewhere.
Yeah, because I do feel like at a certain point, obviously, the baby, like, none of us know because we can't remember that far along. We were conscious back then, but I feel like there is like a level of consciousness, if that makes sense. Because baby, like, the fact that they're kicking around and stuff, they're kind of aware what they're doing and where they're at and moving, and breathing, eating.
Right.
So it's like it's still a living
up
thing.
to a certain point. Yeah, I think once you get past a couple months, it's like, all right.
If you had
two, 3.
Cause by 3 months, you already know the gender. Like they could tell you the gender of a baby like in like 8 weeks.
But again, that's not my place to say anyway, regardless. But just the big points shouldn't be up to men to decide. Women should try to be in more positions so they can make these sorts of decisions and they don't fall on 90-year-old white men's opinions.
Yeah.
People should be able to do what they want. This overturning was stupid, and it's just another thing to distract us from the gas prices and everything else. It just got thrown up out of nowhere. What else?
But also, I do feel like people like need to take accountability and responsibility for their own actions too. Like don't be so reckless with who you're sleeping with. Like people be so shocked that they get pregnant. It's like what you think was gonna happen. Like that's literally the purpose of having sex. It's procreation. Like the heck.
Yeah, people should be more responsible.
Yeah, I feel like maybe a good thing that could come out of this is maybe people being more responsible. Even though women are claiming they feel like violence is gonna rise because women are gonna withhold, but I'm like, women are not withholding already. Like, I don't think that's a correlation.
I don't agree with that.
Cause I don't think anybody's gonna care. People think they're invincible. People are gonna keep doing what they're gonna do, not expecting to get pregnant. Like people are gonna be more. I don't think people are gonna start. I don't think people are gonna start withholding.
Yeah, I don't think people are abstaining.
They're not
because of this decision.
Because people, like I said, people think they're invincible. They think, oh, it's not gonna happen to me.
Because they don't do that
I'm not
now.
gonna get pregnant. Yeah,
they don't do it now. So
because abortion, like I said, is invasive anyway. So like, was that always the plan? Just to put yourself through an invasive process?
Yeah, I don't agree.
So I think that's the dramatics that I get annoyed when this type of stuff happens. Like the very just theatrical dramatics of people trying to be social media warriors and expressing all this fake concern. Like it's annoying. I'm
open to being completely wrong, but I also don't think that this overturning will have any impact on birth rate or anything.
I don't think so either. I really don't think this is going to be like a huge thing. The only thing that kind of is concerning, because I think this was happening before the Roe versus Wade ruling the first time, that they said that there's going to be a lot more illegal abortions that are going to start popping up and women dying.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's true.
Them going to Mexico, Colombia, all these other places where they're getting the BBLs already.
Yeah, or like an Instagram person who's going to create like abortions by Alexis.
Yeah.
Abortion by
There'll be more Lisa. Popularity in abortion pills and things like that. It'll definitely get nasty. And this is what happens, right? Like they force people's hands, and then when
people are going to be desperate to, if they're like, oh my God, like, they have an abusive parent and like, oh my God, like I got pregnant. Like, I really messed up. Because, yeah, I will kind of give grace to young people. Like, when you're young, yeah, you know what you're doing. You have a sense of, like, what's right and what's wrong. But we all did stupid stuff when we were young. So I will give grace to younger people. And I know that's probably so scary to be in a situation now you have to, like, get an illegal abortion.
Also, real quick, and I really didn't want this to be real quick. We stay on these topics way too long. It's like a whole podcast.
30 minutes.
Real quick, for anybody out there listening, because I know I'm a man, and when it comes to women, I'm not allowed to have a voice. But to show my concern for women, I became privy to, and this was through my own research and articles and things like that. So apparently there's basically fake abortion clinics that are existing and popping up everywhere. Supposedly they've been all over Snapchat. Snapchat is working on it at the moment. So supposedly they are anti-abortion clinics, but they pose as an abortion clinic, get you to come in, take down all of your health and medical records and everything, and then put it into a public database for whatever reason. And it's just like,
so people know
that just for, I don't know, that you attempted to get an abortion at some point. I don't know what they're doing with it, what that does, but they're basically taking it to be public information. So literally it could be a kid that's like 14 years old. They take pictures of your ultrasound, all your medical records, and put it in some public database, and it's shared amongst who the fuck knows.
Wow.
So
it was saying that about the period apps too.
Yeah, they were like
not to use the apps anymore because they track your data.
Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, I know why people do it. I know why people do it.
What, the period apps?
I know why people do the apps, but don't do the apps.
I haven't used the app literally since what I used to use. Clue. I don't remember. I used to use it and track like all.
I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave at this point.
I haven't used it since I've gotten on birth control.
I don't want to leave this
like
point.
6 years.
But anybody listening, please verify that it's an actual, place where you can go and get an abortion if you're looking for one. Because if you're going to one of those places, they're going to take down all your information, do God knows what with it. And what they do supposedly is that what they do is they bring you in. Say it's mandatory for you to get an ultrasound to get an abortion, which is incorrect. That's false. You don't need to have an ultrasound to get an abortion. That doesn't even make no fucking sense. Why? They take your ultrasound because you don't need an ultrasound to get an abortion. You could just get an abortion.
But when they do that to confirm that you're pregnant?
No. Oh. They don't need to. The problem is that it's not mandatory to get one. They probably would, but they're going to say it's mandatory, which is not the case. And they'll tell you to wait for a certain period of time before you can come back and get the abortion. So that way you're further along in the pregnancy. You might not be able to either the point. And also what they try to do is get you to change your mind within that time frame. And then also to push it out further so you'll feel worse about doing it.
Yeah.
And also potentially run into doctors not willing to do it based on your how far along you are, things like that. So women, just be careful because that's crazy.
Yeah. I didn't even hear about that.
And they won't do the abortion because they're anti-abortion.
Yeah.
And who knows what they're doing with it, sharing a public database, and maybe you're not gonna get a job or something like that. Like who knows what they're doing with it. I don't know. Who knows? But everybody be safe.
I found that. My old data. Look at December 2014.
I know, but we got.
Wait, okay, real quick. But what do you think the green dots mean?
I know what they mean, but we got time constraints.
But this is bad. Wait, look at December.
Is there?
But look at this.
I know.
That was like more than half the month.
We got time constraints.
Okay, sorry.
You got anything else?
No, I kind of just basically said what I said. Like to sum it up, like I personally would never, but nobody should have that decision. Like that's how I feel on it. Like I said, I don't care what people do. I really have no sympathy for anybody. Like that sounds really bad, but I'm like probably a really selfish human being. Like except for people who I actually know and care about, I'm all like this. There's billions of people. I can't worry about everybody. I'm only worried about me and my family and my friends and my life, and I wouldn't do it. But if anybody in my life were to do it, I will support them. Hope for the best for them. And anybody else in the world, they could do whatever they want with their body. That should be the thing when it comes to your body. Okay, yeah, should we not be able to steal from stores? Yeah. Like, should we not be able to kill other humans? Yeah. But it's something that you're doing to your own body, that should just be your own choice. And that's really how I feel about it.